Notice that many supposed supporters of the rule of law will applaud and admire grotesque vigilante violence. This is a very common sight. Members of the political right will celebrate the sight of a vicious vigilante committing illegal violence in the name of the law. Many of these supposed supporters of the rule of law are more than happy to cheer on vigilante violence. Exhibited here is the fact that these people do not care about the rule of law at all. The rule of law requires due process, a fair trial, innocent until proven guilty. The rule of law requires predictable processes and penalties, a professional, organised and restrained enforcement of the law. Vicious vigilante violence is totally incompatible with the rule of law. Vicious vigilante violence is itself illegal. Vicious vigilante violence represents lawless barbarism. The solution to lawless barbarism is not lawless barbarism. Yet many on the political right do not care about decreasing crime rates. They are far more interested in murdering suspected criminals and making those who they dislike suffer. Notice that the far right claims to support law and order, yet will happily support everything from murder to rioting if it has sufficient connection to their political causes. Many people on the political right do not care about the rule of law as an ideal. They care about the rule of law as a justification. They care about the rule of law as a justification for violence and cruelty towards the people they dislike. For the far right, ideals are not to be pursued. They are excuses for hurting people. They are a mask for sadism. Some may not believe me, but all you need to do is observe those who defend such things, and it becomes very obvious. You cannot claim to care about the rule of law if you use it to justify lawless barbarism and wanton violence. You have given yourself away. You have revealed that the rule of law is not an ideal that you value, but an excuse for the cruelty that you desire. If you support vicious vigilante violence, you do not believe in the rule of law. Some value the rule of law so much that they endorse criminal barbarism and wanton violence in the name of law and order. The truth is that they do not value the rule of law at all. The rule of law requires predictable processes and penalties, the right to a trial, and a professional enforcement of the law, not lawless violence. The rule of law requires limited discretion and restricted authority, not needless killing. Extrajudicial killings are as far from the rule of law as you can get. They abandon due process, they abandon a fair trial, they abandon the principle of innocent until proven guilty. They abandon predictable processes and penalties, they abandon limited discretion and restrictions on power. Brutal vigilante violence is not a solution to crime. Brutal vigilante violence is crime. If you support brutal vigilante violence, you do not support the rule of law. The rule of law requires due process, innocent until proven guilty. Those who support vicious vigilante violence are supporters of lawlessness and the enemies of the rule of law. These people are not tough on crime, they are supporters of crime. For a great many on the political right, the rule of law is nothing more than a justification. And this goes for a great many of their ideals. Many on the political right, and particularly the far right, are less interested in the pursuit of ideals and more interested in means by which they can justify violence and cruelty against those who they dislike. The rule of law is for these people not an ideal, but an excuse for lawless barbarism. The absurdity is perfect.